Hi everyone, and welcome to the Frank and Mary Show. And don't change the channel, this is the Frank and Mary Show. Arthur, the normal host, is not here today. He is down with his brand new grandson in DC, I believe. I'm Doug Peck with Seniors Helping Seniors, but we're still keeping the same format of the Frank and Mary Show. As you know, Frank and Mary are Arthur is an elder law attorney with Myrick and O'Connell in Westboro and in Worcester. And while this show is not about legal matters, it is for people, much like Frank and Mary, who have spent a long time in Southborough and now want to stay here as they grow older. And so this is about the people that you need to know or services that you need to know about to be able to really have a quality of life in and stay in Southborough as you age. So I have a different type of guest, I shouldn't say a different type of guest. We're going into a subject area that we haven't talked about before, but one I feel everybody needs to know about, particularly if they're going to stay at home and sort of have the wish, as Arthur says, to be sort of buried in the backyard. So I want to introduce to you Michael Onett from Faith and Family Supportive Services and Hospice. They are located in Marlboro, but they service all the local area. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So we usually get started by sort of telling me a little bit about yourself, and we'll talk about what hospice is afterwards, but sort of about yourself and how you got into hospice, because you're the founder of this hospice,
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been working in the hospice community for the better part of 25 years.
Okay.
The bulk of my mature adult life,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm getting more maturity the older I get. Started in South Florida. I had a friend of a friend whose family founded a hospice, one of the oldest hospices in the country, and I helped them with their development on how to spread the word and what is hospice, what is the true meaning of hospice. And it's an area I never left. I've truly enjoyed it. I've worked nationally on behalf of hundreds of hospices, and there's close to 5,000 nationally.
Really?
Yes. Hospice is really interesting. In the last 20 years, because of the growth and the population growth and the aged population with baby boomers, hospice now is a larger industry financially than home care.
Really?
So you have 17,000 plus home care companies, 4,800 to 5,000 hospices, and it's now a $17 billion industry nationwide.
How old is it altogether? When did it really start? You said one of the
Hospices started in the middle 70s.
Okay.
Hospice of Connecticut was the first hospice.
Okay.
They were a nonprofit. Hospice is a word which means a variation of hospitality. It comes from the Middle Ages when you had people that were going through the plagues and they had nowhere to go.
Oh.
So the modern philosophy of hospice is a little different than the Middle Ages.
Oh, yeah.
Things have changed a little bit since then. It's a matter of really understanding the true nature of what hospice is, and there's a lot of miscommunication.
Right.
And people don't really understand the true nature and the full scope of hospice.
Okay.
It's vastly different when people really think on their first impulse.
Okay. And that's what we want to talk about, because people, tend to think of it as sort of the very end of life type of care. And so I know, having dealt with some hospices, that oftentimes they don't get called until it's like the last 6 weeks or so, of someone's life. But that's not really what it should be about or is about.
Right.
Correct?
In some ways, the hospice community missed the mark when they called it end-of-life care.
Okay.
Because you think of those waning moments. In reality, it's care for the life that you have.
Okay, I like that. Care for the life that you have.
There's two ways that people pass.
Okay.
Quickly, perhaps a heart attack or car accident, and slowly, could be weeks, days, months, or even years. So once the decline of your physical status starts to happen, when you can't mainline your baseline of health and vitality, the decline kicks in. I use the analogy all the time with doctors.
Okay.
When a doctor likes to go snow skiing, the first 10 feet of the mountain, when you go down, how fast are you going?
Yeah.
He goes, 2-3 miles an hour. And so I might ask a doctor, well, how fast are you going at the bottom of the mountain?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing 25 or 30.
Yeah.
At what point can you ski up?
Yeah.
You can't.
You can't.
That's when hospice starts, at the first 10 feet.
Okay.
So when you recognize declines, Then we do our supportive care services to make you as strong and vital as possible for as long as we
Okay.
can. It's to bolster, it's supportive care for when you know that you're confronted with an end-of-life issue.
Right. You're not going to get better, essentially.
Sometimes people graduate,
Okay.
which
Re-
means
yeah.
that you can go on and off hospice.
Okay.
If you're gaining weight and you're having a lot of care and support, we call it fluffing and buffing, people start doing better.
Okay.
Things go into remission. You get a little stronger health. We're moving you around a little bit, getting your blood flowing. Sometimes, wow, we annotate every visit.
Okay.
And we go, wow, this person might be, let's call the doctor, let's get people involved. You might graduate. So hospice is not a death sentence.
Okay.
It's
That's
not.
good to know.
It's a supportive service for as much as you need it.
Okay.
It's also equally for the families and
Okay.
their friends. And it's the only area of healthcare based on a philosophy: body, mind, and spirit.
Okay.
So, and if you think about the government mandating a program that focuses on the body, your mind, and your spirit, it's really out of the box.
Yeah, it is.
In some ways, it's a little bit old school, earth crunchy. However, when you break down the three components of what make us human beings,
Right.
we have our
Right.
spirituality about us, we have our psychology component, and we have our physical nature. So when a lot of people refer to when they pass on, they're simply shedding their bodies and their spirit can live on. And everybody has a different thought process of that dynamic, but we have to honor all of it. And it's
Okay.
mandated by law that we also help the families even when the patient has passed.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yes. It's a 13-month mandated benefit of free
Okay.
counseling, free chaplaincy, to make sure that the family is being supportive. If you can imagine your loved one who's thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it, what am I going to do? Their next thought is, what's going to happen to my wife, my husband, my daughter,
Right.
my son, my brother? And seeing that they're being counseled, they feel it, and they also recognize that their family's being taken care of, makes them feel a little bit
Okay.
better about what they know they're going to be okay.
Okay.
And that's important.
Yeah, I want to go back to one thing you said.
Sure.
Because you talked about the government, doing this. So tell us how, because again, people want to understand, how does this work? Am I paying for it? Who pays for this?
That's a great question. That's one of the first questions people ask.
Yeah, I mean, because you're talking about people coming into your home or you going to a hospice. Again, we can talk about those
Right.
two alternatives, but talk just first about sort of, people want to know, is this going to cost me?
Hospice, I would say, is over 90% supplied through Medicaid.
Okay.
Medicare.
Okay.
There's another adjunct, which is through Medicaid, but mostly through Medicare.
Okay.
A lot of insurance companies will work with the hospice to pay for it.
Okay.
I would say in most cases, the patient feels no financial burden whatsoever.
Okay.
That includes supplies.
Okay.
So if you need a catheter taken care of.
Really?
If you have incontinence products, if you need diapers,
Okay.
they cover it. They make sure that the bedding's proper. They'll make sure you're completely comfortable.
Okay, so if you were at home, they would bring in a hospital bed?
Bring a
for
bed
you?
in.
Really?
If you need oxygen, they'll bring an oxygen tank in. If you
Okay.
need something more elaborate, they do that too.
Okay.
Hospice, if you think of, with the base word of hospitality,
Okay.
you think of home. Hospice, basically the job of hospice is keep you where you consider home.
Okay.
And that could be assisted living, it could be in your home, it could be in your family's home. Sometimes if the person is very acute, might be in a hospital or a hospice house.
Okay.
But we really want people to stay home.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. And so when I can see when people think about all these different things going on, you're the coordinator for that though, right? I mean, I don't have to go order the diapers and then somebody, you're coordinating all
Right.
those services for your
Yeah, we
for
have
the
a case
person.
manager.
Oh, good.
That's
Okay.
a nurse.
Yeah.
On our team, you'll have volunteers,
Okay.
mandated by law.
Okay.
The government mandates you have volunteers on staff
Really?
that do a certain percentage of your service hours. It's a service.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it right now, in Massachusetts, we might lose 1,000 people every 2 weeks.
Really?
46% of all people that pass in Massachusetts
Mm-hmm.
go through hospice.
That's a higher number than I thought.
People have no idea the
Yeah.
scope of what this community can provide. But
Mm-hmm.
also, equally as important, if one person knows 20 people,
Yeah.
and there's 1,000 people every 2 weeks, that's 20,000 people that experience a loss,
Right.
might have grief.
Right.
You don't get over a loss.
Right.
You learn how to cope and how to manage it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the psychosocial is so important for the families.
Mm-hmm.
So we have chaplains trained in every religion, spirituality you can think of.
Okay.
It's non-secular. We pretty much have a voice and a representative from every walk of life you can think of, every faith. We also have licensed clinical social workers, which is an advanced degree to provide counseling.
Okay.
It's free.
Wow.
As much as you need it, we'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
You also have home care aides, certified nurses assistants that will do the buffing and puffing and making sure you're safe and secure in the household. They might help you with bathing, helping do some light home duties, household chores. We have licensed practical nurses. We have nurses. We have doctors that will actually go to your house occasionally to re-verify what the nurses are finding.
Okay. Wow.
You have a whole support team in place. You might have 8 different people that are involved with your case alone.
Okay. And they tend to stay with that case. Once you pick it up, they're there.
Sometimes if you have a nurse might go on vacation.
Okay, yeah.
But you're going to know way ahead of time when the nurse is going to be leaving for a week or a few days or a 3-day weekend. There's no shock and awe. It's
Okay.
very consistent. It's a warm place to land.
Okay. And I know, because my father went through hospice at home, and he needed morphine.
Right.
So I know that there are even nurses that come in and will administer the morphine or make sure you have it if it's in the other pill form.
At one point, I'm not sure the statistic today, but at one point, hospices were purchasing for distribution more morphine than any other entity in the world.
Really?
In this
Yeah.
country. Now, pain's a very misunderstood component.
Okay.
Pain is the most treatable condition we have. However, we're afraid of it.
Yeah.
Now, understandably, because I've lost 2 brothers from addiction with heroin, so I understand the dark side. However, if you're in pain, we have specialists that'll manage your pain. We want you to be as aware as possible, yet pain-free.
Okay.
So there's a nice balance where the experts really measure this, and they're palliative care experts. They really know how to make sure you're comfortable while maintaining your sensibilities.
Okay.
And we have patients that literally, you want to be comfortable.
Right.
And you want to be able to focus on other things like family and sharing the family dynamic rather than pain. So that's an art if you do it right. And hospices are artists when it comes to pain management and comfort care, supportive care.
So you have, because you mentioned another word, palliative care. And so that's a complement to hospice, is that correct? I mean, you can, well you put it your way.
Technically, it's a subcomponent.
Okay.
So if you have a lingering illness, palliative care may kick in.
Okay.
So if I have a lingering illness, whether it's rheumatoid arthritis or something that's very debilitating, but I'm not going to die from it.
Okay.
It's not going to make me have a questionable lifespan.
It's managing the long-term effects of something
It's normally
chronic.
ambulatory. You can do it in the home. You can do it sometimes in the assisted living or the nursing homes in different environments. However, it's when you're not considered having 6 months or less to live.
Okay.
So hospice, I would say that probably 65% of people who are on palliative care at one point or another will probably enter hospice at some point. Now, hospice could be from an aged condition. My body is just, I'm getting old, and I'm slowing down, and I'm starting to go down the mountain faster. Supportive care.
Okay.
It's beautiful for elder care.
Really?
My friends' parents get support because their bodies are failing just from age. So you have dementia, Alzheimer's, age scenarios, organ failure, all these different factors that kick in. And we're there to help everybody. When you show a decline, we're there for you.
Okay. Yeah, so what attracted you to something like that? I mean, it's, I don't want to say it's depressing because I don't think it is. I mean, I think it's a great service because you're trying to keep a quality of life for a person as long as possible. Knowing that they're not necessarily going to get better in the long run, but you still want to keep whatever quality you can there for them to have.
Well, for me personally, it's all about being self-aware. There's a purpose and meaning to life. Like, what's the meaning of life? That's the big question out there. Well, the meaning of life is finding out what you're built to do. Are you a giving nature? Are you a teacher by nature? You be a school teacher or teach other people or help them benefit from your experiences? And the purpose is to honor it without questioning it. So for me, this scenario, like, I feel good about helping others, and I don't care what I get in return because my effort is my return. So the meaning of life is to honor what we're made to do, and the purpose is to honor it with faith and just go for it and not worry about it. Because you're doing what you're made to do,
Yeah.
you're not working.
You're not working.
I never worked a day in my life.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good.
It's it doesn't feel like work. It really doesn't.
I want to go back to one other thing you talked about because it's in part of your title, the name of your company, which is Faith and Family, or is it Family and Faith? But anyway, faith is in there. You talked a little bit about it, that you represent all different types of faith. So you don't come in saying there's not a Catholic hospice or a Jewish hospice or a Protestant one. You help the folks that are inclined that way to have the right type of care, the spiritual care that they want.
Well, think about the word faith. If you break it down from a very abstract basis, if I say faith, what does that mean to you? If I'm religious, whatever
religion,
you
Right.
honor and
Right.
follow.
Okay.
If you're a person that understands what love really is, I have faith that love I experience with my family or my children or whoever else is real. I know it's real because I have faith that emotion's real. So faith means different things to different people.
Okay.
So but we're there to support you in whatever base faith holds within your heart.
Okay.
Because most people have faith in something.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's really important to honor, because if you don't have that faith component, now faith and family does mean something. Faith is very important, and family is very important also. Your family could be your friends.
Yep. Okay.
It could be your neighborhood. It could be your community. It could be your neighbors. So we want to be that warm blanket of compassion that comes in when you're at your most troubled time and help you feel validated that you're important, you're relevant, that your life mattered. And if you're not in a position where you're being properly supported, you feel a little bit hopeless
Yeah.
and alone.
Yeah.
And nobody should be alone.
Right.
It should be on your terms, and people need to come full circle in life with dignity, because death is not a clinical event. It's not. You're born, now I have an existence, and when I pass away, it's basically I'm moving on.
Moving on.
So it's not clinical because you can't maintain it. It's
Okay.
a spiritual event, because just like you become self-aware, a sentient being as a child as you're born, that same essence is no longer going to be a clinically maintained entity.
Right.
You shed your body
Right,
and your spirit goes on, and everybody has a different mindset on that.
Okay.
And we honor all of
You're
it.
on. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So, looking at the nuts and bolts, somebody calls you. Does somebody come out to the house? Is that how it works? Let's say the person's
We'll
at
go
home.
to you.
You'll come to us.
So
okay.
sometimes
is
a
it a
fan-
case manager, or is it you, or is it?
We have specialists.
Okay.
I would say we have a care team.
Okay.
You make a phone call to us. You don't even know what's going on. You just know my life is not the way it used to be. We'll do an assessment. It's free.
Okay.
So, okay, here's you're holding on. We'll make an assessment. If we see that there's an active decline that's bolstered by the physicians to make sure this is appropriate, then we'll turn on the hospice team and
Okay.
we'll get it going. But you call us up. It could be your doctor that calls,
Okay.
a son or a daughter, a husband or a wife, a friend calling on behalf of. You can't elect hospice unless you sign off on a right to self-determination.
Oh, what does that mean?
What it means is I acknowledge that I don't have a way of curing my condition.
Oh, okay.
So I'm okay with accepting the supportive care
Okay.
in lieu of chemotherapy or a transplant or what have you.
Okay.
Because they're not going to work.
They're not going to work.
Because
Okay.
it's a different mindset. This is about making you as strong as you can with the acknowledgement and recognition that you're probably not going to bounce back from this one.
Okay. So a person that holds a healthcare proxy, for example, particularly let's say someone with dementia who can't really make that choice, they can make that choice for
A
them?
very difficult decision,
It's a very difficult
because
decision.
people think of it as a death sentence.
Yeah.
People
'Cause
are.
they feel that
I'm
if once they
prescribing
commit
hospice,
to it,
now
it's
they're
going to
gonna die.
happen. Right.
What it is
Right.
an acknowledgement
Yeah.
by selecting hospice.
That.
I'm accepting the fact that my friend or my loved one
Right.
is in the process of transitioning.
Right.
they're on a decline.
And
That's
I want
all it
something
is.
good for them. I mean, I don't want them to just.
So the proxy is very interesting because we have situations where the wife is the proxy for the husband,
Mhm.
and then the wife has an issue,
Yeah,
and she needs a proxy.
yeah,
And then, how do I make a decision for my husband if I have a mental health issue?
mm-hmm.
So we have to create a succession chain,
Mhm.
make sure every base is covered. This is the most regulated
Really?
industry or service realm you could ever imagine. We annotate everything. So at any given time, we could have somebody else walk in, look at our charts and our note taking, and know
Wow.
exactly what's being done to the minute.
Wow.
It's very regulated, but it's also very important because it's a building block of care.
Mm-hmm.
And how can you go and have a new person enter into the dynamic without really knowing what's happened before?
Right.
So A plus B equals C. In this case, C is care. You
Yeah.
need all those things lined up in the proper line.
Okay, yeah. I can understand that because even in my business, which is a home healthcare business, I have seen the caregiver pass before the person that they're taking care of because of the stress. They've been doing it a long time. It's stressful. Sometimes it's a stroke or a heart-related issue that no one sees coming. So I can see how things really can change.
Yeah, we,
You know?
we do have we're very predictive. We're always in a very aware state.
Okay.
So we're always looking for factors. So we've had patients that they're sort of maintaining, there's a decline, and then we see the loved one who's really declining.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you need help too.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Can we have a discussion?
that's very important.
Or we talk
Yeah.
to the family members.
Yeah.
And sometimes one spouse will pass away before the other, and now they're alone. So we go there
Right.
more often.
Right.
We supplement.
Okay.
Nothing's worse than saying, oh, well, we don't want hospice because
Mm-hmm.
they think it's hastening death.
Mm-hmm.
Well, make sure you're fed, make sure you're hydrated properly.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to force you to hydrate.
Mhm.
If you force hydration,
Mm-hmm.
you put more stress in the body.
Okay.
There's a lot of symptoms for people that might be transitioning,
Mm-hmm.
like people who sleep longer than they're awake.
Mm-hmm.
Their steps are getting
Yeah.
shorter.
Yeah.
They are they're making different food choices.
Mm-hmm.
They're not eating beef anymore. Now they're eating poultry or fish,
Mm-hmm.
or they only want ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
There's little signs that people are declining and they miss it. And then they're in damage control.
Mm-hmm.
We recognize all those signs. Sometimes it might be a culmination of all these different symptoms and variables. Ooh, this person's declining.
Yeah. So you're seeing things that the family's not seeing, A, because you've trained eyes,
Right.
and because, not that you're not emotionally involved, but you're at a higher level and be able to see the different relationships and the interactions that are going on and make a more objective
Word
call on
choices.
things.
It can be
Word
simple as
choices.
word choice.
Yeah.
We're working with a family, and a family member's word choices, the way they communicate, it's changing
Mm-hmm.
because they're diminishing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of little triggers. Now, it might be something we do corrective action.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I think you should see your doctor about maybe get some help, and they help them
Mm-hmm.
maintain.
Mm-hmm.
Other times it's like, ooh, this person is showing decline also. It happens all the time,
Yeah.
especially with the older generation.
Yeah.
Sometimes, dad doesn't want to hang on if his mom's gone,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just the way it is.
Mhm.
But there's an interesting phenomena when it comes to hospice.
Mm-hmm.
Starting around middle of October, the people who are in hospice they live longer.
They want to live
Af-
through the holidays? Really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in beginning of February,
Yeah.
I don't know
Wow.
how other than it's like a big die-off. People
Yeah.
pass away
Jeez.
exponentially.
Yeah.
If hospice is really embraced by everybody,
Mm-hmm.
why can't it be like that all year round?
That's true. Yeah.
No, we want to bring people have that warm feeling all the time.
Yeah.
So one day, one good moment
Mm-hmm.
can mean the world to somebody.
Mhm.
Closure on an unresolved issue between brother
Right.
and sister or mother and daughter.
Right.
Closure is very important, and also
Yeah.
regret.
Yeah.
So in a lot of cases, hospice mends a lot of bridges for people by opening the communication with social workers, with the chaplains.
Yeah.
Sometimes a chaplain won't ever say the word God ever. They just
Mhm.
sit there and talk.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a perspective,
Mm-hmm.
to increase dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
get out.
And it gives family members a chance to come, and particularly if they're at home in their environment, and talk to the person,
Right.
and really confront whatever issues they may have had in the past. Everybody has, things going on that they may want to resolve. It's a good time to be able to do that because the person's comfortable and they're well cared for, and the other stressors are not there.
Absolutely. It's amazing that stress slows down the healing process.
Yeah.
So there's studies of wound care. A person who's stressed out, the wound takes twice as long to heal.
Really?
Because your cortisol level's way up.
Right.
Your body doesn't operate efficiently. You don't digest your food properly. You don't breathe at the proper rate. You're not relaxed.
Right.
So if you have better emotional support, your body can take care of itself a little better. You're not under duress. You're not always, oh, I'm fighting it. Let's give you some
And
relief.
now here you're talking about emotional support for the whole family.
Absolutely.
Essentially. It's not just one person. You're looking at the whole family unit, which is really important because people don't realize when they're under stress. They don't, you know? They can't
People always
feel it.
say, oh, I'm okay.
I'm okay.
But
Yeah,
you're not.
You're not.
I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
I've said that phrase a billion times in my life.
Yeah.
Oh, how you doing about that? I'm like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
People want to take it on the chin. They want to bury it. They want to compartmentalize.
Right.
But the reality is, it's still gnawing at you.
Yeah.
You want to release that gnaw and give you more of a zen feeling, of
Right.
feeling good about things,
Yeah.
the warm and fuzzies. Then you can be emotionally available to your loved ones also if you're not
Right.
blocked up.
Right.
So it's hospice. Oh, it's so depressing.
Yeah.
I know it's not.
Yeah.
What's better than helping a person when they need it the most
Right.
and doing a great job and having a person perhaps have better quality days, have dignity rather than suffering or being insecure, or not even having the answers of what's next.
Yeah. That's true. It's true.
So for me, it's exhilarating
Yeah.
to do the right thing, and it's very empowering.
Yeah. One last question about sort of the mechanism of it, because you mentioned hospice will come in. So is there a sort of a set frequency? Do you come once a day? Do you come once a week? Somebody from hospice?
That's a great question.
Or is it just
People
depends on?
Basically, the patient
Yeah.
is our boss.
Okay.
So being predictive and intuitive,
Mm-hmm.
what the patient needs. If it means we go in there, we have a patient right now, we get there at 6:30 in the morning, we help her get up in the morning, get her dressed, feed her breakfast.
Really? Yeah.
5 days a week, sometimes 6.
Wow.
The family is available on the weekends, so they help us
Right.
on the weekends. Plus, they want to be involved. They don't want a third
right,
party.
right.
But a lot of times we are the family.
Yeah.
But we're available. We're intimately involved with all those
Okay.
processes. And if we have to go back and bathe somebody who's had an issue,
Okay.
we'll go back in the afternoon.
Wow.
We'll check in.
Okay.
You need to go. I mean, unfortunately, the worst thing about being a nurse
Mm-hmm.
or a hospice worker, the most difficult thing. Imagine the snow we had 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It's howling.
Yeah.
You just knocked off your car. The snow. 5 minutes later, your car's buried again.
Yeah.
And you get a call that somebody's passed away.
Yeah.
You get dressed. You clear your car out, and I would say most nurses have SUVs with 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Around here they do.
They're going
yeah.
to the house. They're with the family. They're
Yeah.
hugging them. They're embracing. They help prepare the body, process, sign the death certificate,
Wow.
and then they go home, and they get up 2 hours later to go back to work. That's a tough day.
I could see though that I hadn't even thought about the part where the person actually passes. What happens? Because I know it's a shock for the family. And if it happens in the middle of the night, I mean, I wouldn't know myself what to do if it happened to my parents. You know, what do? You stay there with the body all by yourself all night? But in this case,
Well, no,
you have somebody coming over.
Right. The
That's going
appropriate fashion for hospices. My mom just passed.
Yeah.
We're there as fast as we can physically get
Yeah.
there,
That's got to be huge,
and we're
though.
there until your mom is taken.
Yeah.
It's usually an ambulance.
Right.
They're honored and respected for the whole
Right,
process.
right.
And the nurse doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
She stays with you.
Yeah.
And then if you need relief, we'll have our chaplain come in, or social worker, work with the family. Sometimes there's a perception with a family member who is not quite 100% with their faculties, and we have to do extra counseling for the loved ones. They don't quite understand that my wife's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Yeah.
work even harder after the
Yeah.
fact, because
Yeah.
we want that person to feel safe and secure.
Right.
The survivors, 1,000 people a week, on example, have 20 friends. That's 20,000 people that are affected
Yeah.
by a loss.
Yeah.
Each month, that's 40,000 people.
Right.
40,000 people times 12.
Right. It's a huge number.
Almost 500,000 people
Yeah.
in Massachusetts each year
Right.
are affected by a loss, and indirectly or directly.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do you say to people?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Sorry for your loss?
Right.
Or what a great life he had or she had. you're an amazing person.
Yeah.
Every tear is a badge of honor, of gratitude that person meant something. So if you're feeling pains of loss, it really means that person meant something to you. That's a beautiful
true.
expression.
It is. It is.
It can't be lost. We
No.
look at it the wrong way.
Right.
So, oh my gosh, how am I going to get by with that? Well, live by that person's examples and be, wow, did I have a great wife or a great husband or a great son or daughter or great grandfather or mother. Reflect with gratitude and appreciation
Yep.
and know that we're going to take care of you also.
Well, this has been really great. We have to wind up the segment in just a few minutes, but I just want to express, I think the one thing that stood out for me when you talked about this was the fact that you really treat both the individual person going through it and the family with a great deal of dignity. And I think that's very, very important because you know, sometimes you look, you see in a hospital situation, people don't have that. Some people dying alone. There's not, it's so sad because their dignity is just not being honored in the way it should be. And it looks like that you folks really, that's a key core value for you, is to preserve that kind of dignity for the person, even after the very
Nobody's
end.
alone, the family's not alone,
Right.
you don't have to be alone.
Right.
We're a phone call away. Call us anytime you need help. I talk to families all the time. They go,
Yeah.
how do you do that with all, I was like, I do what I can do.
Yeah, you do what you can
So,
Yeah.
but it's very empowering to me to have the ability to do these
Yeah.
things.
Good.
And to see a family grieving properly.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
it's
those
very
stages of
important.
grief, it's
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
But with the perspective, it really makes a difference.
It does. Good, Michael, thank you very much for joining us
Good to
today.
see you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching this. Arthur and I will be back next week or next month with a new show. But I thought this was, again, I hope you get a lot out of this. I know I learned a lot today about this, and it's such an important aspect. Thank you again. Take care.